Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren. I'm a resident intuitive baddie. And this is a video I have I said I'd make a long time ago, like months ago. But my daughter is turning 2 tomorrow. Right now it's like 3 a.m. It's Saturday, 3 a.m. But yeah, she's turning 2 tomorrow. So, naturally I've been reflecting on, oh my God, time's flying. And, like 2 years ago she was inside, and it made me think about my journey through pregnancy. And yeah, so it makes sense to bring it up. So yeah, I think when I had started to I think the first video I made in the car, I was talking about when I had having lupus and stuff like that, and I said that I'd probably make a video on what happened with my pregnancy, because physically I had a great pregnancy. I was gonna say that I'm lucky. I do think I'm genetically blessed. But also I was dancing at the time. So I danced up until 8 months. So I was really active. And I think that really, really helped a lot with my pregnancy. And I was eating good. So, taking care of myself basically. I think that really helped. I had a really short delivery. Yeah, physically my pregnancy was great. I went through some uncomfortability, of course, but I don't know, it's like some people, when they describe pregnancy, it sounds like the most awful thing, but no, I really loved it. I thought it was really cool. Let's see. It's been a long time since I've actually thought about my pregnancy, so I'm like, maybe do I have pictures? So let's see. I got pregnant in the end of spring, beginning of summer. I think in May. So yeah, and this was really close to when I had gotten married to my ex-husband, and it was maybe three or so months before the wedding. So at the wedding I wasn't showing. It was not even, no bump. So, but my boobs came in. It was great. It was awesome. But what sucked was I couldn't really do anything for my bachelorette. I couldn't go to the spa because I can be in heat and stuff. And yeah, and then obviously we weren't drinking, so it's it threw my maid of honor's plans out the fucking window. And then what else? At the wedding I didn't drink either. I mean, yeah, and I was I was just doing a lot. I was planning the whole wedding, so just that was a crazy the first trimester was pretty crazy, because it was so focused on the wedding, and we didn't tell anybody, mainly because we didn't want anyone to, we didn't want to take the focus off of yeah, we didn't really want to take the focus off of the fact that we were getting married. We didn't want to make it about having a baby. So I think we told, I don't remember who we told. We did tell I think it was our closest. Oh, we told our wedding party, and that was it. We didn't even tell our moms. Yeah. So nobody knew. And then in the second trimester, see, we went to Cuba for our honeymoon. It was like a last minute thing. That's when I started to show. Yeah, okay, honestly, I'm like, I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. But, like, yeah, physically wise, it was really cool. Because it's just like, one day it's just like there. And you're like, there's just like a little bump. And you're like, oh. And then it just like continues. And then, like, I had to, because I had lupus. Oh, okay, I'll get into the medical after. But yeah, it's just like it's really cool because it keeps growing, and you know that it's changing. And then as they develop more and then they start moving inside, it's like it's one of those things that it's like I can describe it, but like you're not going to know how it feels unless you are a woman who bears a child, because yeah, it is something to have a life inside of you. Like, I remember when we heard, or I got to hear the heartbeat for the first time, and it was so fast, and I was just like, holy shit, like, that's alive and it's inside of me, and I should be taking care of myself to take care of this baby. And then, yeah, when they start moving, and then, yeah, in the last trimester, it gets kind of uncomfortable because, oh, Pia was a kicker. And like, maybe it's because I was dancing. I don't know. But yeah, she would move a lot. She would kick her legs a lot. I think she's gonna be good at soccer, to be honest. But yeah, she would move her legs a lot. But yeah, let's get into the medical, because that's why I was gonna talk about it. So this, just to preface, the lesson here is just let me tell the story. Why am I going to try to explain the lesson first? All right, so I really wanted a water birth. I knew I wanted to do everything naturally. So the thing about having a baby is I didn't really have to give up much. Giving up weed was really easy for me. And it wasn't hard, but like, yeah, it sucked not doing psychedelics. And yeah, I didn't drink. I don't drink much. I only drink on, not even really on occasion. I drink if somebody gives me a drink and I know it's gonna taste okay or good, sweet. I have a sweet tooth. That's why I don't drink. It's not good, not for any other reason. It's just like, this tastes bad. Why would I drink this? And why is it more expensive? That's my logic. So, and coffee, at the time, I didn't drink a lot. Now I'm actually, lately, I've been craving coffee a lot. Not for the caffeine aspect, but literally just for the taste. Like, I just really love the taste of coffee. I need to invest in some decaf. So anyways, I knew I wanted to do everything natural, mainly because, yeah, I had already had my first couple spiritual awakenings. So I really wanted to make it as holistic as possible, especially since I wasn't doing shrooms or psychedelics anymore. I was like, I need to ground, and I need to do it some other way. So my birth plan, I wanted a water birth. Originally, I wanted to get a midwife, or I think I wanted to get a midwife, but in at least the place that I checked, because I like filled out the form and I said I had lupus because of lupus. So because of that, they said that I couldn't have a midwife, and that I had to have an OBGYN. OB. We'll refer to as OB, which is pretty much the distinction is like An OB is more like a doctor, and then a midwife is more like a nurse. So it's like, it's just a matter of qualification in terms of like degree. And this had annoyed me because if you watch that video, that video is really old, and it's like one of the very first videos where I'm like just talking to the camera, where I was like more comfortable. I don't know. It was one of those days where it just like it flowed through me. I was just like, let's just try. Because the first two I think were too. They felt too stiff because they were my first videos and I was trying to tell the story. So yes, because I couldn't have a midwife, and midwives, you don't give, the reason why I wanted a midwife in the first place was I didn't want to do it at a hospital. I don't trust the medical system. I don't trust the government. Conspiracy theories over here. Well, it's not that I don't, actually no, I just straight up don't trust the government, to be honest. It's like one of those things where I know they don't have our best intentions, so why the fuck would I? Anyways, so I don't want to go, and like this story will explain why I don't trust anything run by the government. So yeah, I had to go with the OB. My doctor recommended one. I really like my doctor because she was the one that even figured out I had lupus. So yeah, I have this OB, and I had made it very clear that I wanted a water birth. And at first she was saying that like that none of the hospitals did it or something, or it'd be really hard. And then I just kept insisting because I was like, if it's possible, I would like to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to find somewhere else to go do it. So I think she really wanted to keep me as a client. So she told me, oh yeah, the Scarborough, or like the hospital that I gave birth in has tubs. And I was like, awesome. Why? I like, cause she was it was one of those things where she wasn't really giving me an answer. When I would go, it's just like I had to actively ask about it, like, is this arranged? Because this is what I want. And yeah, throughout the whole pregnancy, I had to see her pretty often because I had lupus. And what did I have to take? I had to take, the only change was I had to start taking, I don't want to say painkiller. I think it was Advil, something like a blood thinner type of thing. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But I haven't had any flare-ups since I was first diagnosed, which was at that point had been 7 years prior. So it really annoyed me that I couldn't have a midwife and that I had to have a doctor. And yeah, literally every appointment she was like, oh, you're doing great. Oh, there's nothing really to report. Oh, your blood work is fine. So I was like, I don't understand why. I was just like, oh, I don't understand why I couldn't just have a midwife. So closer to the end of the pregnancy, I think this was like first around 34 weeks. So she was flipped upside down, which, if you know enough, if you know the basics of like giving birth, baby's supposed to come head first, and she was feet first. So I remember she was saying if at 36 weeks or something, Pia didn't flip, that it was likely I was gonna have a C-section or something. And I remember I was worried about that for a really long time because, like I said, I wanted it to be natural. So I remember it was just like the last appointment for that. I think at the 36-week appointment, I think the day before, I started trying everything. I think I got one of those heat packs because it's like they go to where it's warm, so I put a heat pack at the bottom, and I don't remember what else I did. I probably like bounced on the ball. I like tried all the tricks to get her to flip, and then she did. So it's just like, all right, bullet dodged. And then all of a sudden she was like, yeah, actually we need to induce you because the baby's too small. And I remember when she said that, I was like, huh? And then she started telling me all this stuff about how, oh, because of the lupus, the baby's small, and like you don't want to I don't know. She was like, she was just saying all this stuff, and I was just like, because I wanted it to be natural, so I questioned it. I asked, like, how come I was like everything was perfect, but she's been small the whole pregnancy. She's been smaller than average, and also it just wasn't surprising that she'd be smaller than average because me and my ex are both on the shorter side. So, like, I didn't really see a concern for it, but she kept pushing that, oh, I need to schedule an induction, and she kept pushing it earlier. First she was like, oh, probably around 38 weeks, and then in like, because she was started to tell me after the 36 week, after she flipped, and when I went back to see her, and I was just like, oh yeah, she flipped, so no C-section. And the thing is, I was doing a hypno babies program, so it's like NLP, but for having for like your ideal birth. So NLP is neuro. Oh wait, sorry, neuro. I don't know that. I'm not even good. Neural something. Neuro linguistic programming, NLP. So basically, it's like you hear a bunch of affirmation, or they have a bunch of affirmations for the birth that you want, that everything's gonna go smoothly, and it's like a mindset thing and like a breathing thing. And it's supposed to help you give birth faster, because if you're in the right mindset then and you're relaxed, then your body will just do everything for you. Like, the body knows what to do. We have been having babies for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, however long we've been on this planet. So that was like another reason why I was just like, I don't want to do hospitals. But, and before this as well, since COVID, everyone that I've known that's been pregnant, everyone has a similar story where very, very close to the end of their pregnancy, it was just like all of a sudden there's an emergency and now they have to have a C-section, or like mine, where it's like they're suggesting induction for some sort of reason. And then for some other people, they just like straight up were offered, can they do a C-section, and then just scheduled it, which, yeah, absolutely fine. But the other two, it's just like, it's always for things that you can tell are like fear mongering. It's like, we're gonna tell you that this sounds wrong so that you, because you're probably a first time parent or first time person giving birth, or you're a pregnant person who cares about your baby's safety and health, and you're trusting the doctor that is telling you, the professional. But it just like, I noticed this pattern. So that's why, and I did my research, especially with doing the hypno babies too, because one of the things that they teach in hypno babies is they have a whole section about how at the end of the day, it is your body, you have the right to say no. And this is the reason why I don't like hospitals, is because they can have a hidden agenda, whether it's because it's more convenient for them to have the birth schedule than to have to come in if if it's spontaneous, or if it's because C-sections are counted as surgery and they benefit from that, or, there's so many different reasons and I think there's evil reasons too, but that's just conspiracy corner. That's just me being on some shit. So, but, yeah, so, and I remember, I think the last appointment too, I brought in my ex, and he even questioned her too. He was like, he was asking like some questions, like, why was this not brought up before? Why is this now all of a sudden? It seems like you're rushing her. And then I remember, like, eventually, I think because I had lupus and because it was our first kid, like, we listened to her. There was other things I didn't want to do. There was a shot that I had to get. I didn't want to get, but I did get it. Yeah, we erred on the cautious side because we're new parents. But there was something in me that was, my intuition was like, no, bro. Like, this seems off. Like, she does not seem genuine. And it made me so upset. So now I did end up doing the induction, but I did the most natural one, which was a balloon catheter. So they put like this balloon thing, and then they blow it up, and then it just stays up in your thing until, and it's basically meant to open your cervix where the baby comes out. So, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pretend to you that I know the medical stuff. I just gave birth. But yeah, it's meant to open up your cervix. And I remember they put it in. I pushed it until 38 weeks because she was being very pushy. That's one of the things that set off my intuition too, is like, I was like, you don't need to be this pushy. And at 38 weeks is when they're considered fully developed. But at the end of the day, yeah, babies should just come out when they're ready. It's that, I don't believe you should fuck with it. I don't believe you should fuck with time like that. But it is what it is. So, yeah. 38 weeks. I think I scheduled it. I scheduled it for the 31st. It was like a Wednesday or something. So they put it in. And I remember when the nurses were talking to me, and they were asking me just like about how I felt about everything, and I was just like, I don't really want to be induced. And they were like, you don't have, like, they reminded me, they're like, it's your right, like, you're right to refuse. But I was still in people pleaser energy, to be very honest with you, and this is why this video is important. So I was like, yeah, well, we're just gonna, and when I say it was in people pleaser energy, not just to the doctor, but to everyone around me as well. Like my ex, his mom, my mom, like everyone was genuinely like, oh, well, if the doctor is saying that because of your lupus that you should, that the baby's small and you should give birth earlier, you should probably listen to that advice. Actually, no, my ex's mom wanted the opposite. She didn't, I think because she knew somebody with a bad induction experience. I forgot who. There were other, but yeah, basically other people's influences. I was just like, okay, fine, we'll just do it. And yeah, I should have went with my gut. Anyways, it was fine because, yeah, put it in. We went home and it was uncomfortable. And then my contractions started a couple hours later. Like, I couldn't sleep. I remember I started to time the contractions around 3. So what I'll say is, yeah, my pregnancy was great. The worst part wasn't the birth, it was the contractions. Because if you are a girl, or naturally born female, you know your period cramps. So think of contractions as those period cramps concentrated into what, like 30 seconds to about a minute of that pain amplified by 100. It was the worst pain I have ever felt. And it only lasts a minute, but it would happen consistently. So it's like, in the beginning, I think it's, what is it? It's like let's say every like 10 minutes or so. And then it just gets closer. They just get closer until it's every 3 to 5 minutes is when you're supposed to call, or like you're supposed to actually go to the hospital, I think. If it's not, maybe every 2 minutes, I don't know, something like that. But it just like that's why they're called contractions, because it's just like you have this intense fucking pain and then it just releases, and you're just like I remember I wouldn't be able to talk while they were happening. And I remember when we got to, and then, no, actually, this is what happened. So I called the hospital. I was like, they're 3 to 5 minutes apart now. And they were like, oh, it's okay. Like, you can still just stay. And I was literally like, I remember I was so upset. I was just like, no, this sucks. And then I think I threw up. I went to shower because I was like, let me just prepare as if I'm going to the hospital. So I went to shower. I threw up in the shower from the pain. And then when I got out of the shower, my water broke. So then they said, okay, you can come in now. But yeah, I remember when my water broke, it was, I think I sat down or something. I moved. And then it just, it's literally like you feel like you piss yourself. I remember I just changed into the jeans and it just like leaked down my jeans. And I was like, oh, wow. So then we called the hospital. I think it was like 4 a.m. at this point. And they were like, yeah, you can come. So we go to the hospital. I remember, let's see, I got out of the car, and then I remember walking to the entrance. I had a contraction. I had to stop. And I could not move for that 1 minute. And then I was like, oh, okay, let's go. And then we found me a wheelchair, wheeled me in. My ex went to go park the car. Then we went to check in. Was there somebody in front of us? I think there was somebody in front of us. I don't know. It took a while to get a person. I think I don't know. It was so long ago. Maybe mixing it up with other things. Anyways, I just remember that when we checked in and we were going in, I remember I looked at the time and it was 5:55 a.m. I remember because I went, change. So yeah, they wheeled me into the first place. And then I had to have extra monitoring. That was one of the things, because I had lupus. I had to have extra stress tests. But as I said, like with all the other appointments, everything was normal the whole time. So and literally the way that I've been living, like, you wouldn't know I have lupus because it doesn't affect me at all anymore. And the video that I had made about it earlier on, like one of the first videos, was basically about how I was going to stop taking my medication as well. Me and my doctor had decided we're just going to see what happens. Because honestly, I truly believe your health has to do with your mindset. Because when it showed up for me was after a really, really bad breakup. Anyways, moving back to the delivery. So let's see, I was in the room, did the stress test came back fine. And then I think they checked the dilation. The first time it was maybe like 2 centimeters. And then they got me into a room. I was lucky enough to have everybody has a private birthing room. So we went in, and then I remember my ex was asking the nurse, like, how long does this usually, how long can we expect to stay here? Like, how long does this take? And then the nurse was like, oh, a couple hours. And I was on the thing, and I was just like, and she was like, you sound like you want to push. And then she checked, and all of a sudden I was 10 centimeters dilated. So she was like, oh, she's ready to come out. And I think from when I checked in and it was 5:55, at this point it was 7 something. So yeah, she was like, oh yeah, so a couple hours. And then she was like, oh, she's cut now all of a sudden she's coming now. So I think it was like within 30 minutes of that. And yeah, once I started pushing, sorry, it's like as I'm telling the story now, I'm remembering details. It's been a long time. When I told the story so many times in the beginning. But so one of the things that I mentioned about the hypno babies course that I took is they have a whole section about breathing and how to breathe when you push so that you let your body do it. But in the hospital, what the nurses and doctors there are typically trained to guide you to do is something called purple pushing, which is where you don't breathe. So you basically tense up and then you push. You basically push with all your might until they tell you when, basically. And the reason why that's not good is it's easier to tear that way, because if you're just completely tense and you're just pushing. So like the best thing that I can compare giving birth to is taking a shit. Like if you were constipated, that's what it feels like. So honestly, for me, it just felt like relief when she did come out. And I was lucky because even though the nurse pushed the purple pushing, and I did do the purple pushing, I was just really lucky that she basically slid out. And I think part of it was because she was small. So, I mean, maybe good thing for the induction, but she pretty much just slid out. It was not that much pushing that I had to do. And I was in labor for a total of, from when the contractions really kicked in, 3.5 hours. Because, yeah, it was 3-ish that I started to record them. And I gave birth at 7:26. So about 7:30, 3.5 hours. Very, very lucky. Very fast. I had friends after me that have had 12, 14-hour labors. I could not imagine having to have those contractions for that long. But another thing about that, I missed a part. When they got me into the birthing room, they asked me if I wanted an epidural. Like I had mentioned, I wanted everything natural. So I said no. And then she was like, you sure you want some morphine at least? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I gave in. I was like, okay, I'm going to have the morphine. And I remember this girl was having so much trouble looking for or being able to find my vein to stick the morphine in. So by the time she actually put it in, I think shortly after was when he asked the question, and then I started to push. So basically, the morphine did not kick in time for when I actually gave birth. So I did end up giving birth natural. Oh, I missed the other part. Oh, okay. Sorry, I have to backtrack. I'm so sorry, but also not really. This is a hangout session, all right? If you watch me, you probably like how, I don't know. My fear is that I lose people when I lose my train of thought, or when I'm kind of all over the place, or I forget details and I have to backtrack. So when they were doing the test on me, I think I asked one of the, I was just talking to one of the nurses, and I was telling her about my birth plan, and I was saying how I couldn't wait to get in the water. And I had mentioned to do a water birth, and she was like, "We don't do water births here." And I was like, "What? What do you mean you don't do water births here?" And she said, "We have the tubs for relaxation, but there's a certain point where you actually can't, like, we get you back onto a hospital bed. We don't do water births here." So basically, my OB lied to me. She just told me, or she gave me the information. She let me hear what I wanted to hear. She said they had tubs, which they did. So technically she didn't lie, but obviously she did manipulate the situation by not clarifying that, because she could have said they have tubs, but we don't offer it. But it's because she knew I was going to leave as a client. Anyways, and then she did all that shady shit pushing the fucking induction. Anyways, so yeah, so I didn't have a water birth, and then they had me purple push. But then, yeah, everything was fine. It was a great, smooth delivery, and I feel so blessed that was my experience, because, yeah, the worst part about my pregnancy was the deception from the OB and my doctor. And basically, I'm going to make sure that next time, even if it's a private fucking midwife or something, it's like, if I am ever to have another child, it will be a water birth, and it will not be in a hospital. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Because, yeah, that it gave me so much mistrust, you know? It's like, you just want, it was just so fucking shady, bro. This is why I hate liars. I hate liars. So, yeah, I just hate deception. Just be straight, because who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have found anybody else who would have done it, or maybe it would have been too far, or whatever. Anyways, so the point I want to make with this video is, in anything, but especially if you're watching this because, I don't know, you, like, maybe you're going through pregnancy, or you just want to know, you need to have strong boundaries. Know what you want for yourself, and you fight for that shit. You do not let anybody tell you that you're crazy for anything you might be feeling through pregnancy. Don't let anyone chalk it up to the hormones. You are intuitive, and you are more intuitive because your senses as a mother are opening up, because of your protective instincts for your child. Your intuition is heightened. So if you feel off about something, you trust that shit. And make sure, like, don't be swayed by the people around you, because they are not you, and they are not the one that is carrying the child. So, yeah. If you can, if you do have to or want to do a hospital birth, I would very highly suggest then hiring a doula. That's something I would have done differently if I were to do this pregnancy again, and I didn't have a choice for a midwife or whatever. I would then hire a doula, because same thing, they will stand up for you, and because they have more authority, or they have because they know more, they're actually able to negotiate with the nurses and everything, and they can guide, and it's nice because they're with you through some part of the journey. I don't know how doulas work, to be very honest. I don't know. I'm sure that you can hire one at any stage of the pregnancy, but like, you know, like they listen to you. You have a plan with them, and then you know, they're there to guide you through it. That's the same thing pretty much that a midwife does, is they're there with you through it. Whereas, you know, the OB that I had wasn't the doctor that delivered the baby. I mean, the doctor that delivered the baby didn't even really deliver the baby, to be very honest. I remember my ex was shocked because the doctor walked in when I was as I was giving birth, and he literally just stood there and watched the nurses deliver the baby. And apparently this is common, but I don't know, it's not everyone's experience. I've had a couple of friends that did have the doctor deliver the baby. But my point is yeah, it's not the OB doing it. So, you know, I was basically scammed out of what was the word I used earlier? Fuck. It started with a D though. That's all I remember. It wasn't distrust. Deceived. I just hate that I was deceived by a healthcare professional, like somebody that should be doing everything in mine and my child's best interest. But it's an industry. Just, it is what it is sometimes, you know. But yeah, that was my whole pregnancy journey. She came out, what was it, 5 pounds, very, very light. I think the last thing I'll leave with is so when she came out, this is something I guess I just never heard of, but she had a cone head, because when they go through the vagina specifically, and maybe I haven't heard about this because more like having a C-section is becoming more common, and I believe that is because, okay, maybe it's not what I'll leave with. Oh my God, maybe, should I just redo this? I can't redo this whole thing. It's 43 minutes already. So something that I've known about epidurals is that it slows down the process, because basically what an epidural does is it numbs you down there so you can't feel the contractions. But because you can't feel down there, you can't feel yourself needing to push. So again, not to knock anybody's plans. If you need to, obviously there are people who need to have a C-section for whatever reason, maybe because, like the example from before, or the worry from before, maybe they're flipped, or the cord's tied, or it's just like the baby's just not coming out the other way. But yeah, with epidurals, it's kind of sold as, oh, you know, you won't feel anything, but there's side effects to it. So I think it's like a huge needle, and it's like they insert it into the lower back of your spine, I believe. And yeah, it numbs the whole thing. So then the problem with that is you can't push. So like I said earlier, our bodies know what to do. Like, they are literally designed to do this. So you are supposed to feel when to push. It's like, I think you push with the contraction, basically, I believe. I'm pretty sure. It's been 2 years. And you're supposed to breathe with it, I think. Okay, sorry. So it made sense to me when I was doing the hypnobaby curse, because it's the same thing with literally with taking a shit. It's like the more you push and the more you strain, the more it hurts, right? But if you breathe through it, like, so I think you're pushing when you're breathing out, right? Yeah, something like that. Or it's like you're releasing, so then it kind of opens it. You've taken a shit before, so it just just think about it like that. And if you get an epidural, you can't really feel that, and then you're going off of when they tell you. So again, it's the same thing, and then you're purple pushing and you're just more prone to tearing. I didn't tear. That's what I'm saying. My one genetically blessed, and then also I was active, very active. Even when I stopped dancing, I was doing like yoga. I was bouncing on the ball, so I was walking a lot. I would highly recommend it for pregnant people out there. Stay active. That is my number one tip, above everything else. Ooh, low battery. Okay, I'm pretty much done anyways. So there was that, right? And then also the downside to C-sections is the scar takes years to heal, because obviously you're cutting through so much tissue and tendon. Wasn't great at science either, biology. And then you have to get stitches and stuff, and it's like, it's harder to walk, and it's just the recovery process after a C-section is a lot harsher and longer than a natural birth. But I think it's because it's not, most people don't have the full information. I think for a lot of women, especially women who have fear of giving birth, they think that taking the epidural or the C-section, now that you can schedule it, is the better option, because they're like, oh, we don't have to feel the pain of the baby coming through. But the pain that comes with, or the side effects that come with an epidural, so I think lower back pain is something, and the recovery of a C-section are more prolonged and thus worse. And then also, specifically for the epidural, it extends the labor time, so it's like a couple more hours. And then, I mean, C-section surgery, I don't think it takes as long, but it's just, longer recovery process. So just keep that shit in mind when you're deciding your birth plan. Just remember that our bodies are meant to do it. And the thing is the reason why it is painful for a lot of people is because of the purple pushing. Because if you're letting your body take over and do what it's supposed to do naturally, and you're breathing through it, it's not, and you're calm, and you're in a calm state. Because again, because of the pain, people react to the pain. a lot of the times. And a lot of the times pain is very mental. It's, you know, especially, this is something that I've really learned in raising my daughter, because when she would fall or when she would get hurt or whatever, she always, if it's not super, super serious, she looks to us first for our reaction. And my ex's mom is like a worrier. So with her, she usually reacts. So with her, she cries very quickly. But with me and my ex, we're just kind of like, you're okay. And then most of the time she just gets up. And even now, usually when she falls, even sometimes when she does fall kind of hard, it's like she usually just gets up, because a lot of pain is mental. And a lot of the times we're thinking that it's more pain than it actually is, because we're not willing to talk, because we're perceiving it as such. So yeah, keep that shit in mind. Anyway, so yeah, as she passes through, going back to the end of my story, as she passes through, so babies, because they don't have their skull formed or whatever, it's still like malleable, and it's because they have to be able to pass through the vaginal canal. So when she came out, she had like a cone head, so the back of her head was elongated. And yeah, you don't really hear about this shit. So my ex was like, oh my god, she's ugly. There's something wrong with her. Why does her head look like that? Because yeah, they do look like, they look very alienish. And it's one of those things where you don't, when you have them, you think they're cute. Honestly, I had a cute baby but because they look like alien-like, it's not as cute, especially when you look back a couple months later, because they get cuter as they start to gain more baby fat, and they start to fill out and stuff. So when you look at the pictures from like 4 months out, as opposed to maybe within the first 2 weeks, you're like, oh fuck, you're way cuter now. I can't believe that I thought that shit was cute. But no, Pia was a cute baby. Pia was always, she was destined to be a cute baby. It was one of those things where I remember when I first saw my ex's baby pictures, I was like, there is no way we are going to have an ugly baby. Because I was a cute baby. He was a cute baby. It's math. So yeah, I remember our first appointment when we went back to the hospital. The nurse was like, that is a cute baby. And she was like, I'll tell people this all the time, but this time I actually mean it, because there were really a lot of ugly babies. Or not, they're not ugly, they look alien-y. Anyways, yeah, so that was my pregnancy journey. So again, to reiterate, the lesson is know your plan, and you put boundaries up against those plans and against everybody else. Your intuition is heightened. Trust your body. Trust yourself. You are the one experiencing it. And just a quick little plug. So if you struggle with things like boundaries, or maybe you're struggling with relationships, with your self-confidence, your self-image, if you have wanted to do shadow work, or you do shadow work, but maybe you want somebody safe to talk to about it, or you want somebody to keep you accountable, holla at your girl. Email in the description. I have developed what's it called? Not a curriculum. I'm a shadow work guide. I promise I'm a lot better and more psychological. And yeah, it's just through my journey, shadow work has done a lot to shift myself as a person, to shift my mindset. And, you know, if you're on a manifestation journey, a spiritual journey, then you already know that a lot of this journey is rooted in the self and your self-concept. And I think there's a lot of people who want to change, and it's hard. It's hard to look at yourself sometimes. And, you know, sometimes I realize that not everyone, or most people, don't want to look at themselves. I'm one of very few people that I know in my reality that really strives to improve, and also just really honors truth and honesty, not just with other people, but with themselves. It's much easier to hold people accountable when you're holding yourself accountable as well, because then you're an example and not a hypocrite. So yeah, if that's something that you're interested in, if you really want to do shadow work, but yeah, maybe you're alone in the journey like I was, and you have nobody to really talk to and unpack this shit that you've probably gone through in your childhood. Or maybe there's certain things that you can't notice because you are you. There's certain things. So something that I realized about this experience, just being on Earth, is just the reason why we're here with other people is because they reflect back to us and they see outside of us. Because if it was meant to just be us alone, which I think would only work if you're completely conscious, is so that we have people who can be our blind spot and see outside of us and reflect ourselves back to us. So if you don't have anybody in your life for that, and you would like to have someone in your life for that, I'll let you go. Or if, you know, maybe you've gotten to a certain point and you want to see how much, I don't know, you want to do it in a way that's efficient, focused, targeted to the things that you want, I'll let you go. Yeah. So thank you again so much for being here with me and for listening to me. I hope it resonated. And until next time, goodbye.